Hello my friends and welcome. Exactly as I've told you, the next target after those Russian bombers could be a Kerch Bridge. Well, today there was a kaboom. Yeah, right at the Kerch Bridge. Yeah, by the way, it's here on the map, kind of the long and robust construction. But it seems like Ukraine tries to find the way out of how to definitely kaboom the bridge once and for all. Today there was one more attempt. Let's watch this photo, I would say. I cannot show you the video fully, sorry, it's the YouTube policy. One of those pillars which carry the Kerch Bridge itself was kaboomed. It sustained the underwater damages that we are unable to see. And you know, this construction which Russia mounted close to the bridge, probably the underwater fence, well, it didn't help. Yeah, by the way, the full video is available on my Telegram channel, guys, so please check it out. I post lots of the information on Telegram and sometimes on X, it's better to call it Twitter, and I have many other different platforms. If you want to really support the job that I do here, you may also join my Patreon. And this photo was published later on. As you can see, the construction of the bridge itself also sustained some of the damages, but the main one happened underwater. The movement through the bridge was stopped for several hours and Russia was very quick in opening connection. But without the underwater inspection, it's really hard to define the real damage to the bridge, also by the Russians themselves. Maybe the damage is significant to that particular pillar, but for Russians, well, they do not care. It's kind of interesting that this image from the Russian surveillance cameras was published by Ukrainian SBU, the same organization which conducted some of the burnouts of the Russian airplanes recently. It means that Ukraine has the access even to the cameras of the Kerch Bridge. This is crazy. Now there is the big scandal in Russia around the topic how this video went to Ukrainian side, who posted that video. Actually, no one posted it, just the Ukrainian SBU. But what's about the possible tool Ukraine used over here? For sure, those were not the FPV drones, and it wasn't the drone boat either, so something kaboomed underwater. Well, actually, Ukraine has some of the underwater drones in its fleet. It's called Toloka TLK-150. It was developed back in 2023. We cannot recall any sort of the significant use of those drones. This underwater shell drone, I may call it, is equipped with electrical engines, and those are kind of silent. Also, the size of the drone is kind of small, but I have doubts of whether this drone is capable to deliver 1,100 kilograms of TNT, because as it was reported, Ukraine used that amount of TNT. Well, Ukraine also has a Maritka underwater drone U-boat. This is big indeed. And yeah, potentially it may deliver the huge amount of TNT. Maritka is big, but it doesn't have the limit for going deep into the water, unlike Toloka drone. And we already know that Maritka was tested the last year. I guess I published those kind of the videos with the tests. Yeah, it could be a drone boat, but also, as many of the officials even say, that Ukraine could put the load under the construction of the bridge mounted on that pillar. How it was done, no one knows. Well, actually, Russia itself is a wonderland. You can do impossible things there, mainly because of the recklessness and corruption. So Ukraine launched FPV drones on strategic bombers, and here is the Kerch Bridge. Indeed, Russia is, with this attitude of the Russian system towards its important parts, actually, yeah, Russia's no-go will be no-go, even with Ukraine as their enemy. Yeah, they say that they fight against all of the NATO, but de facto, no. Ukraine has some of the support, but mainly planning and everything was conducted by Ukraine, and the Ukraine is out there on the front lines, and Russia, as we see, is struggling almost every day. Awesome news, guys. And yeah, this video was shared. It appears to be an old video. The new one, well, some of the images I showed you on this at the beginning of this video. However, this morning Ukraine after all launched some of the drone boats. Magar boats were on the way to the same spot of the Kerch Bridge, and Russia intercepted those using Lancet drones. This video was published by the Russian channels. Indeed, this is the Lancet aiming. I already know it. Magar boat was hit at the front part, but nevertheless the drone didn't kaboom, it just stayed floating on the water. So maybe the cumulative shell of Lancet is not enough. I guess Ukraine also tries to reinforce the construction of the drones, because Russia tries to shoot them mostly with automatic rifles from the boats. Yeah, they try not to send aviation any longer because they lost several of the airplanes and helicopters. Yeah, Ukraine mounted the air defense systems on the boats, so now they use Lancets. In a way, it could be even effective, but at first Russians need to spot the drone boat. Yeah, sadly the drone was disabled this time, but nevertheless Ukraine went to the Kerch Bridge. So yeah, SBU says about 1,100 kilograms of TNT that was placed under the bridge, and yeah, there are some of the rumors saying that it was definitely a submarine kamikaze drone. Yeah, the Kerch Bridge could sustain just minor damages, but the idea is bigger than that, you know? Ukraine is still capable to reach the Kerch Bridge after everything what Russia used to protect it. They put fences, they put boats, they put patrols, they use aviation, air defense, everything, but still Ukraine manages to get to the spot. And that's why what happened today there is very important, my friends. Ukraine is still active on territory of Russia, on territory of occupied Crimea, and the Kerch Bridge itself, well, it's just temporary there. I'm sure that Ukraine will find a way of how to finally end it. By the way, here we go with the construction of the force elements of the bridge under the water. You may see that they are very robust, especially the ones which are carrying the arc. But the drone hit not the railway part of the bridge, just the highway part. And here the pillars are less robust, let's say. On the force elements of the arc, Russia already installed some of the protection similar to grill, which they put on their tanks. And yeah, obviously there are tons of the memes now published in internet. Maluk, ahead of the Ukrainian SBU, is out there near the Kerch Bridge with the truck. It's kind of fun relative to what happened just a couple of days ago, guys. Yeah, guys, recently Ukraine is definitely pushing Russia hard. If Russians do not care about their losses on the front lines, well, they'll have the losses inside. Yeah, artificial intelligence, as always. Maluk ahead of SBU with some of the doc. Ukrainians are always making fun of enemies and their losses, and that drives pro-Russian community absolutely mad. Alright guys, and we have more of the satellite images coming from the Ukrainian attack on the Russian main airfields, military airfields. And here's the Russian AWACS airplane A-50. Yeah, with this resolution it is definitely hard to tell, but I can clearly see that there is the black spot on top of the radar and on top of the wings of the airplane. Maybe there was a fire, but I cannot state it by 100% because again, with this poor resolution, those could be just tires, but at the same time tires are a little separate from each other, and here we see like fulfilled black color almost entirely except this central spot, so maybe there was the fire after all. As it was reported again by Ukrainian officials, Russia lost 41 of the airplanes, including A-50. Well, some of the sources say that there could be even 2 A-50 airplanes, but it's better to slow down now, receive the information and wait for the proofs. Here, it's still not a proof 100% as I told you. So we're waiting for more detailed images from different companies, and those will be ready, I hope, this week. But the chance for the kaboom of the airplane, judging on this image, it's significant. Right here we have the information from Whistlegrad 24. They say that Ukraine shows journalists a video of its drone striking 2 Russian Beriev A-50 airborne early warning and control aircraft during the recent truck-delivered FPV drone attacks against Russia's strategic air force. The planes cost roughly 400 million each, but it doesn't matter how much do they cost. The thing that Russia is unable to produce any more of those airplanes. The technology was lost back in the Soviet Union, so it could cost $1 or $1 billion. It doesn't really matter. Russia will stay without this very important tool, and it is very crucial for Russia because with the help of A-50 they're capable to spot drones flying Ukrainian aviation on Ukrainian territory. They may correct their own cruise missile and drone strikes on Ukraine. Without those airplanes, Russia would be just blind. Now I'm waiting for the confirmation. I hope that this video will be shown to everyone in internet. So yeah, for now still I'm not sure 100% of whether Russia lost at least one of the A-50 airplanes. So little by little I guess those images will start to appear in internet for us all to be more cheerful, let's say. And unfortunately today Russia also struck Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, for example in Sumy. There were 2 of the losses and many more injured people. All of them are civilians. The strike happened right in the city, in the residential area. So that is how Ukraine actually tries to eliminate the threat for the people by performing the strikes on Russian long-range strategic bombers, which are used for those attacks. But Russia has lots of the resources still. And about the possible revenge of Russia and how Russia might respond on Ukraine, almost all of the Z community is calling to punish Ukraine, to strike it very, very hard, but with what? Areshnik? It is not effective without nuke. Russia, at least for now, will not use nuclear weaponry. So what they may do? Intensify the strikes on Ukraine. They already use maximum possible capacity, and their capacity recently reduced. And about the operations which Ukraine conducts on the Russian territory, Russia is unable to do it. I would say that the only thing that Ukrainian head of SBU and the Ukrainian president personally, they should take care about themselves and their security. Because Putin might step over that line and he may try to do bad things towards them personally. And guys, I'm asking already for the 3rd day. Where is Putin? No one saw him from the 31st of May. Then there was the video published, but that video was also an old one, pre-recorded few days before. So Putin closed himself in a bunker again, just his dogs are barking. Peskov today stated that Putin received information about Ukraine's Sunday operation in Russia online. So Putin probably watched the most entertaining live stream of how his airplanes were kabooming one by one. This is hilarious, guys. They're just like clowns, comparable, really comparable to Donald Trump. Who we have here? Medvedev, come on, drunk again. Yeah, sorry, this post is in Russian, but I may tell you the general idea. So Medvedev says that Russia will respond. Plus, negotiations in Istanbul are just needed for Russia to win, and not for any sort of the compromise peace. Russia needs just victory. And there was the idea of the Russian memorandum. By the way, Russia in that memorandum said the same stuff as in 2022. Basically, demilitarization of Ukraine, denazification, recognition of the Russian territories, and bullshit like that. So Russia is still aimed to continue the war, but Ukraine little by little is cutting Russian tools. By the way, do you know the biggest problem out there in Russia? Well, maybe it's not just about corruption, no, it's about people in the Russian management. You see, Putin is paranoid about maintaining his power. That's why he put just loyal people around him. Loyal doesn't mean professional. Like, for example, Alexander Portnikov, who is the chief of the Russian FSB. He's maintaining this post since 2008. He is 73, I guess, years old, and he doesn't care about absolutely everything. Ukraine started the Kursk operation, no one knew about it. By the way, protecting the Russian border is the duty of FSB, but they were out of clue that Ukraine would go to the Kursk region. Kerch Bridge 1, Kerch Bridge 2, Kerch Bridge 3 today. 2 days ago, attack on the Russian bombers. Crocus City Hall, and those are the major events. What is happening that we don't see? So normally this guy would have lost his position long time ago after the first Kerch Bridge situation. But still, he's there, he's ahead of the Russian FSB, because Putin likes the guy. He's loyal to Putin, that's why Putin would keep him no matter what. Even if all of the Russian bombers would someday kaput under Ukrainian drone strikes, he will still keep his position. That's how this Russian system really works, this Russian circle. Shoigu, yeah, in fact, he was displaced as the Russian defense minister, but still, he is like very close to Putin. They're his friends, and this circle is ruling Russia now. Not Putin personally, but the system Putin created. A very corrupt and unprofessional system, but at the same time they have so many ambitions. They want to conquer the world, to restore the Soviet Union or the Russian Empire, but in the state they currently are, it's not possible, and there will be no any changes with this Russian elite. So if you ask me who will win in this war, obviously Ukraine, because this system which Putin created, it's dead already, it's a walking dead, and Russia will be reformed, it's just a matter of time. Oh guys, this is hilarious. Dugin wrote, "Maga, where are you? Save us, Maga, please." Today is the funny video actually. I hope you're in this mood like me right now, guys, reviewing those fantastic news coming, mainly fantastic. Yeah, I'm happy for the last couple of days. Ukraine shows really that it is capable. Truly capable. And by the way, Donald Trump is also calm about the recent events happened. With this no action, he's very similar to Vladimir Putin actually. Well, he posts the usual bullshit, but he's not speaking about Ukrainian strike on Russia. He doesn't say whether Zelensky now has cards or no. Only the Speaker of the White House commented that United States are interested in peace. They should be grateful, they should be thankful for Ukraine, because Ukraine kicked out the vast part of the Russian nuclear threat. Bunker, you know what is written there. And oh my gosh, what has just been posted 2 hours ago from Elon Musk? I'm sorry, I just can't stand it anymore. This massive outrageous pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. And yeah, Elon Musk reports the tweets also from absolute degenerates. But you know what is interesting about this spending bill? Well, it was presented by Donald Trump. He told like it's best, big, gorgeous, the best ever bill or something like that. Well, it seems like Elon Musk didn't like it somehow, and he openly stated that. So is there a civil war now in MAGA? Could be, could be. Elon Musk, as you can see, still has many of the ambitions. Awesome news, Magar, probably you know him, is the commander of entire drone systems of Ukrainian army. He's the main chief, and definitely I think it's a good choice. I know him for his fantastic videos published online on many of the platforms, mostly Telegram because there's low censorship, and sometimes I also repost, comment that stuff. The Magar Birds is one of the most successful units out there in Ukraine if you speak about the drone operating units, and I'm sure that he will introduce and improve the drone fighting in general in Ukrainian army. Plus, I hope he and his team will be responsible for purchasing the drones, because sometimes we have kind of the bad drones coming from Ukrainian government, and they require some of the upgrades from our volunteers because the logistics is very long, it takes time, and then drone comes, it's already old. So you need to tune them up for new technologies, for frequencies, different frequencies. And I know that Magar drone unit does that stuff, so I hope that those drones, I mean this chain of the supplies, will be done much faster with him in charge. Yeah, there were some of the changes proclaimed today by Zelensky, and Drapati will be in charge of the Joint Command Forces of Ukrainian armies. He still remains within the command of Ukrainian operation of defense against the Russian special operation, special military. That's how they call the modern day war. So in Ukraine we see a totally, completely different stuff compared to Russia. Ukraine has very talented commanders. Little by little, but reforms are being implemented into Ukrainian army too. Russia mainly stays the same. It means that there will be the time that they will lose it. Yeah, we understand that the war is mainly about resources, but sometimes it's about talented commanders and competent people in charge. In Russia, well, they just imprisoned their talented commanders. General Popov, Surovikin was sent to Africa once again. Prigozhin, you know him. All of those people who actually helped Russia were ruined by Russia itself. And now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time. Stay awesome.